Good day, sir. My name is Kyle Sudivilla from Group 10, and our topic is about environmental laws. And my assigned topic, or RA, is Republic Act 7611, Republic Act 7942, Republic Act 8550, and lastly, Republic Act 8749. So what is Republic Act 7611? An act adopting the Strategic Environment Plan for Palawan, creating the administrative machinery to its implementation, covering the Palawan Integrated Area Development Project Office to its support staff, providing funds therefore and for other purposes. Or in Section 1, in short title, this act shall known as the Strategic Environmental Plan or SEP for Palawan Act. So Section 4, Strategic Environmental Plan and the Adoption, Philosophy, and Legal Effects of this Act. So a comprehensive framework for the sustainable development of Palawan compatible with protecting and enhancing the natural resources. So it's very important to protect our mother nature and also the striving things that are around in Palawan because it will benefit us. So in section 5, strategic environmental plan philosophy. So in SEP or strategic environmental plan, they have their own philosophy on how to solve this crisis that uh, many years ago that has been a main problem in Palawan. Under this as philosophies ecological viability, social acceptability, and lastly integrated approach. With these three subtopics of ecological viability, social acceptability, and integrated approach, it will surely build up their own philosophy with the help of this to allow for holistic view of the problems that they're facing, what I just said earlier. And then in section 14, environmental research, the set shall provide for a system of research so that the additional information for accurate planning. So they have their own research for their accurate planning on how to deal with the problem, and it is very vital for that. Next is section 15, environmental education and extension. So the sector shall design the environmental information and education designated to gradually wean the people away from destructive practices and shall recommend practical ways as an alternative. So in this section, this education and extension, the SEP will educate the other people on how to not harm the environment, but also how to gain any other resources that therefore provide them for their livelihood and for their family. So if it's the way of their living but also harming the environment, the SEP will educate them in other ways. Section 22, separability clause. If any of the provisions of this act shall be declared unconstitutional, the other provisions of this act shall remain valid. So it is very no under this public act that all the acts that are stated in there from section 1 until to the previous one, it shall be remain valid as long as if a person is violated the law and is fitted with the element in here. Next is Republic Act number 7942. What is this act? So this act, an act instituting a new system of mineral resources exploration, development, utilization, and conservation. Or this act shall be known as the Philippine Mining Act of 1995. So let's tackle. Section 2, Declaration of Policy. All mineral resources in the public and private lands within the territory and exclusive economic zone of the Republic of the Philippines are owned by the state. So in this section, you can say that any mineral that be found, even though it's public or private, as long as it's in jurisdiction of the Philippines island, it belongs to the state, owned by the state. And the government management. In section 4, ownership of mineral resources. Minerals resources are owned by the state, and the exploration, development, utilization, and processing thereof shall be under its full control and supervision. So it's the same as the section 2, but with a different meaning with this owned by the state and the exploration of development and utilization. It's still owned by the state but within different approach. Then section 104, destruction and mining structures. Any person who willfully destroys or damages structures in or on the mining area or shall the mill sites shall upon conviction. So if a person is willingly destruct a mining thing or without legal forms that proven that he's running that certain facility or operating that, it will fall to section 104, which is destruction of mining structures. Next is section 105, mines arson. Any person who willfully sets fire to any minerals, stockpile, mine, or workings, fittings, or mine shall be guilty of arson and shall be punished upon conviction. So, in section 105, mines arson, it is clear that if a person sets on fire on any mining facility, is can be reliable on this section because it's very destructive on the natural resources. And section 106, willful damage to a mine. So any person who willfully damage a mine, unlawfully cause water to run into a mine, or obstructs any shaft of passage to a mine, or renders useless damages or destroys any machine, pliers or apparatus, rope, chain, tackle, or any other things used in mine. It's the same as section 105, but it talks about the damage, not on fire, but literally other ways to destroy the mining cave or mining facility that when a person is done it willingly. Next is Republic Act number 8550, an act providing for the development, management, and conservation of the fisheries and aquatic resources, integrating all laws pertinent thereto and for other purposes. Or in section 1, titled This Act shall known as the Philippine Fisheries Code of 1998. So, in utilization management, development, conservation, and all location system of fisheries and aquatic resources, it is as in Section 5, use of Philippine waters. The use of exploitation of fishery and aquatic resources in the Philippine waters shall be reserved exclusively to Filipinos provided, however. So, in this section, use of Philippine waters, only in the Philippine water territory, only the Filipinos are allowed to get a uh, to get fish or extract fishes in there because this is our territory. Section 7, access to fishery resources. The department shall issue such number of license and permits for the conduct of fishery activities subject to its limits of the MSY of resource of determined by scientific studies to the best available evidence. So, in this section, it states that it is important to have a license and permits even though you're a Filipino citizen because uh, in operating this type of or extracting or harvesting fish, it needs to be professionally be done and know what type of fish if it's endangered or not. Section 111, protection of rare, threatened, and endangered species. So this section, the department shall declare closed seasons to take conservation and rehabilitation measures for rare. So rare and threatened and endangered species. So in this section, it states that during the time there should be a seasonal time where the fisheries or the fishermen harvested fish because it is the time of their spawning and also it's a breeding season which is not allowed because it's their time to breed and not to collect them because if they collect it so all of the fish will be uh, gone and other who cannot benefit it. So Section 23, limited entry into overfished areas, whether it is determined by the LGUs and the Department of the Municipal Water and overfish based on available data, is the danger of being overfished and other there is a needed to regulate the fishery resources. So in Section 23, limited entry into overfished areas. So as what I said, uh, in this section also talks about a certain area that is limited because a certain species lives in there only in there and it is very illegal to harvest them or to get them because it's only type of species lives in there and as you can see the fishermen if they collect all of the fish in there which is very endangered it can harm also and cannot be spawned into the next season. Section 36, complement of fishing vessels. So every commercial fishing vessel in the Philippine registry, when actually operated, shall be manned in accordance with the requirements of the Philippine Merchant Marine Rules and Regulations. So every fishing vessel has been approved and has passed the Philippine Merchant Marine Rules and Regulations so that they can operate and harvest some fish. In Section 44, use of super light. The number of water uh, of super lights used in the commercial fishing vessels shall be regulated by the department, provided that the use of super lights is banned within municipal water and bays. So, use of super light, it is totally banned to use a very bright light because it can harm the fish and also the other fishermen that try to harvest or collect the fish. In Section 87, poaching in Philippine waters, so it shall be unlawful for any foreign persons, corporation, or entity to fish or operate any fishing vessels in the Philippine waters. So that's what I talk about the previous section, that in a foreign person tries to collect fish near the Philippine waters is very unlawful and illegal because it is our territory and it is not their place, because if they always collect fish, how about our fishermen? They won't collect anymore. So, Section 91, ban on coral exploitation and exportation. It shall be unlawful for any person or corporation to gather, possess, or sell or export ordinary precious and semi-precious corals. So, in this section, 91, ban on coral exploitation and exploration. It is totally banned to collect coral because it's a living organism and it is not allowed to export it from other countries to just put it in the house and to look elegant, because it is a living organism and it should be taken care of. Last, Republic Act 8749, or an act providing for a comprehensive air pollution control policy and for other purposes. So, in Section 1, short title, this act shall be known as the Philippine Clean Air Act of 1999. So, in Section 11, air quality control techniques. So, there are various techniques on simultaneous with the issuance of the guideline, values, and standards and department through the research and development program contained in this act and upon consultation with appropriate advisory committee. So, it is a quality control techniques. These are just what I said. There's a very lot of varieties of techniques on how to uh, have a air that is very clean in other ways, and it is like the best available technology and alternative methods of prevention, and best available technology economically achieved with shall refer and technological basis and standards for emission limits applicable. See alternative fuels, processes, and operating methods which will result into a eliminator or significant reduction of emissions. So it is these are the ways that are very eco-friendly way to have a clean air that won't harm the environment. Air pollution clearances and permits for stationary sources. Section 16, permits. So, consistent with the provisions of this act, the partner shall have the authority to issue permits of any determined desire of the prevention of abatement of air pollution. So, in any factory that is operating, it is important to have permits if they have the if they are releasing toxic air in our environment, harmful air, because it is all pollution and will just add on into our environment. And in Section 17, emission quotas. So the department may allow each regional industrial center that is designated and special air to allocate emission quotas to pollution sources within. So in this section, emission quotas, there are quotas that the emission of the air will be released to the environment, even though it's harmful. But it is important to have quotas so that we won't harm the environment. In Section 22, regulation of all motor vehicles and engines, any imported new or locally assembled new motor vehicle shall not be registered unless it is complies with the emission standards. So, in this section, motor vehicles and engines, it should be registered in accordance in our law, because it will be like it might be violating our emission standards and can harm in our air pollution and add more on air pollution. And evidence of certificate of conformity or COC issued by the department. So this one they need to be passed by this. And section 24, pollution from smoking. Smoking inside the public building or an enclosed public place, including public vehicles and other means of transport of any enclosed or outside of one's private residence. So in this section, pollution from smoking, if a person is smoking inside or any enclosed public place, is very prohibited because it can just add pollution to the air. It's very common sense. Like when you smoke, uh, it will add more pollution, and also it's bad for your health. And that's all my topic. It is it's just very easy to remember my topic because in this one in First Republic 76:11, 79:42, 85:50, 87:49. That is all, and thank you, sir.